old oil can remains in San Diego with the Aztecs now bowl eligible. 23-0 win over Fresno State. Hello, welcome to Aztecs All In. I'm Louis Weiner, along with Steve Perez. The Aztecs now 3-0 in conference, 6-1 overall with their fifth straight win, Steve. And this one was all about the defense, huh?
Yeah, the way that thing started out was not too swift. It was kind of like one of those old battles where the king is telling his men who are all geared up in their steel with their scabbards and their horses, "Gird your loins, men," he's saying to them. "Gird your loins." And it looked like maybe their loins weren't girded at the beginning because Jordan Napier, he potentially fumbled that opening kick, and that was a potential disaster. But they survived it, held their water, carried on, and they are now undefeated in conference play. Imagine that.
Yeah, you're right. The beginning didn't start off great with that fumble, and then Fresno gets the ball. We'll talk more about this through our famous stats and recap. But Fresno gets the ball, holds it for a long time, but wasn't able to score. And what I found interesting in the first half, Jordan Napier, 0 yards of receptions, but it was the guys you don't hear too much about. Seth Adams with a reception. Jackson Ford. Have we said the name Jackson Ford once this season? I don't think so. And, of course, the big passing play to Byron Cardwell Jr. So it's the guys who weren't getting the recognition who came up big in the first half.
If we haven't said their names so far, that's on us because the entire team on all phases has been playing very well. And especially you have to credit that whole tight end group. For the Aztecs to have run the football as well as they have this season, you got to hand it to that tight end room because those are the folks who are bringing it the extra weld on those short gains and even on some of those big gains that we've seen. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting was just because the way that game started out, and then the Aztecs had the opportunity on the sack in the beginning. The Bulldogs radio team on Fox Sports AM 1540, before Gabe Placencia went out for that record attempt, I mean, they were still talking about that block kick, the one I mentioned in that last episode of Aztecs All In. And boy, if that little imagery didn't bring up any other things that could possibly go wrong, especially on enemy turf, boy, that was the one. But again, the Aztecs prevailed, and it was behind defense, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. Real quick, if Gabe Placencia was kicking in that game years ago, we probably would have won that game. Now that I think about it. But it was a guy named Seamus, right? A guy named Seamus who missed that kick, if I recall.
I hear Rocky Long's voice still ringing in my ear. I didn't hear him live when he mentioned it, but apparently that kick was a little low off the foot, something they practice every day in practice. And apparently, if I didn't want to mention his name because, you know, the kids missed it and it's happened years ago and it's probably something he carries around with him. And if he had been able to get that thing up just a little bit more, it'd be a different tale and we wouldn't be telling these scare stories about what could go wrong against the Bulldogs in a rivalry game. Instead, we'd be saying the old oil can remains in San Diego, right?
Yeah, and the defense was terrific. They held Fresno State to 45 yards rushing. The two running backs, Rayshawn Luke and Bryson Donaldson, held to 46 yards combined, and Fresno State, Steve, with just 227 yards of total offense. And they just dominated the game. Fresno State really couldn't get anything going. They got some passing yardage toward the end there during junk time, but for the most part, the Aztec defense had their way.
There were some funny calls on offense that the Aztecs were exerting their will, running with the power running game, and then they would try to get fancy, and that's when things seem to go off track, and I'm sure you'll go into it more in your half. It happened in my half as well, and I mentioned something they should do to whoever was calling those plays, and I would like to hear what their thought was, but man, when you got something going so well, I mean, how many total yards did the Aztecs come up with on the ground in that game? 208. You know how well their winning percentage is when they run for over 208 yards. And Lucky Sutton, 21 carries, 131 yards, averaging 6.2. And Byron Cardwell came in and and carried and had some big carries as well. The Aztecs just seem to be running the ball so well. Heck, they might have been able to run on every play and still win this one, especially the way their defense was playing.
Yeah, Aztecs now 20 straight when rushing for over 200 yards, 61-2 overall. And you mentioned Lucky Sutton. It's a career high for him, 131 yards rushing. He was terrific. And, he really, especially late when, Fresno State may have had some inklings of getting back in the game, Lucky Sutton made sure that didn't happen.
Yes, and we have the coach, Sean Lewis himself, said the Aztecs have had this uneven performance on the road, winning big, struggling. This time, it was one of those that just looked like a pretty solid performance all around.
Winning's fun, right? I mean, our guys have embraced the work. They do it at an elite level each and every single day, and to go get another shutout, to be the only team in the country with 3 shutouts, and to do that on the road, man, that is not easy in today's day and age of college football. And really, really excited for our guys, and huge win, huge moment, huge step that we took today on this climb, and really excited about where the program's headed, not just this year, but as we go into the future, into the Pac-12 and all the great things that lay ahead. Then lights out, right? It starts with the leadership of Rob on that side of the ball. It's the cohesion, the connection, the humility of the staff to share ideas. I mean, they're just an unbelievable think tank of how they put game plans together, and then the connection and the relationships that they have with the kids to be able to transfer the information, show the vision, be able to get the execution, the refinement of the plan to the kids is really second to none, right? And that starts with, obviously, the players believing in the vision, right, and them deciding to stay, and our community competing with us way back when in December and through the previous 2 portal periods to be able to have the resources that we need to keep the talent here in San Diego. And obviously, as we get more eyeballs on us, more attention, right, we're going to need more of those resources. So need the community to show up and show out, buy some tickets. Let's get a sellout as we come back home, for a good opponent in Wyoming.
So, Steve, coming into this game, the Aztecs had 2 shutouts, most in the country, tied with Ohio State. But after today's game, the Aztecs stand alone, the only FBS school in the nation with 3 shutouts on the season, and that is indeed impressive.
Right. First time Fresno State shut out at home since October 25th, 1980, and that was a long time ago. The Aztecs have a big lead now in this series that's been going on for a long time for the Old Olican. 32 wins, 27 losses, 4 ties back in the days when they still did that. They hold on to the Old Olican. They are 6-1 overall, 3-0 in the Mountain West. And as you mentioned earlier, and will be very exciting to see what transpires the rest of the way, the Aztecs are bowl eligible and will play an extra football game. At least one. Okay, let's get into this thing, Lewis, with our famous stats and recaps. You take the first half.
Aztecs take the opening kickoff, and Jordan Napier fumbles, but the Aztecs recover. Starts out well with an 11-yard completion to Seth Adams, but after a 1-yard Lucky Sutton run and 3-yard Denegal keeper, on 3rd and 8, Denegal drops back from his own 44, finds Jordan Napier wide open at the Fresno 20, but it's overthrown, and the Aztecs are forced to punt. Fresno's first drive, the Aztecs defense bends but doesn't break. Carson Conklin, surprisingly, in at quarterback for NCAA career passing leader E.J. Warner, and he moves the ball thanks to 2 third-down conversions, both to Josiah Freeman. The first moved the ball to Fresno's 35, and then after a holding penalty made it 1st and 20 for Fresno, they hit Rayshawn Luke for a 9-yard completion, and then a 3rd and 6 completion to Freeman again. But the drive stalls at the Aztecs 36 when a 3rd down pass to Brandon Ramirez is incomplete, and after an 11-play, 5-minute drive, Fresno State is forced to punt. Aztecs start their next drive deep in their own territory from the 8, but 2 Lucky Sutton runs get the Aztecs to the 18. After 2 plays for no gain, Denegal throws incomplete on 3rd and 10, but a defensive holding gives the Aztecs a 1st down at their 30. Then after 2 Sutton runs, a fantastic play call from Sean Lewis. He has Denegal faking an inside handoff to wide receiver Donovan Brown, and then Denegal dumps the ball off to a wide-open Byron Cardwell Jr. He scampers down to the 1 where he loses his balance and goes out of bounds. And a play later, Lucky Sutton in for a 1-yard touchdown. 7-0 Aztecs, a 9-play, 92-yard drive. Aztecs defense makes quick work of Fresno's next series, forcing a 3-and-out. Great pressure from Niles King on Conklin on a 3rd-and-3 throw that falls incomplete. Then the Aztecs start their next drive from their own 25, with Denigel hitting Jackson Ford for 12. Then the Aztecs move it on the ground. 11-yard keeper from Denigel and 9 yards from Cardwell Jr. A 3rd down penalty gives the Aztecs an automatic 1st down at Fresno's 43. A 9-yard run from Cardwell ends the first quarter with the Aztecs up 7-0. 2nd and 1 from Fresno's 28 as the second quarter begins. Aztecs gain 5 on 2 Cardwell runs, but then Dejan Lafitte gets through with a sack of Denigel. That forces a 42-yard field goal attempt by Gabriel Plasencia. It is good, his 23rd straight. 10-0 Aztecs. He is now 28 of 29 for his career. Aztecs force another quick 3-and-out, and they take over again. They start off their next possession well after a 3-yard run by Sutton, an 11-yard completion to Donovan Brown. Aztecs miss a golden opportunity on 1st and 10 from their own 44. Denigel back to pass, has Napier wide open up the middle, but he can't get it there. Bad pass falls incomplete. Then after the Aztecs get 16 more on the ground from Sutton and Denigel, Aztecs go for the big play. Denigel deep to Wilsey and Freeney off his back foot. Receiver open, but the ball falls short, ends up in the hands of Alzillian Hamilton for the pick. Fresno takes over at their own 3. Fresno struggles to move the ball deeper in their own territory. They manage 1 first down, and then on 3rd and 11 from their own 32, Trey White pressures Conklin as he throws. Ball floats in the air, is picked off by August Salvati at the 31. So the Aztecs take over from the 31 of Fresno. Denigel throws deep to nobody in the end zone. Looks like he had a receiver wide open at the 20. Perhaps he locked in too soon, but the receiver never got to the end zone. Drive stalls, so in comes Gabriel Plasencia. 45-yard field goal wide left, a miss. Oh no, but nope. Aztecs called for a false start, so the kick doesn't count. So he goes from 50, and it's good. 24th straight, 13-0 Aztecs. So Fresno, one last chance to put some points on the board. A 14-yard pass to Jaleel McLean and a 6-yard pass to Josiah Freeman gets them out to the 43. Then August Salvati makes a terrible decision to hit Conklin as he's running out of bounds. Roughing the passer gives the Bulldogs a new set of downs, but the Aztecs defense forces a turnover on downs as Tano Letuli knocks away a 4th down pass, and the Aztecs go into halftime up 13-0. Halftime stats, Aztecs 186 total yards to Fresno's 107. Aztecs with 90 yards rushing, 96 passing. Fresno 26 and 81. And Denigel 6 of 13 for 96 yards and an interception. Cardwell 2 receptions for 59 yards. And Lucky Sutton 11 rushes for 50 yards.
All right, here we go for the second half with my questions before we begin, Lewis. First and foremost, can the Aztecs avoid the comeback attempt by the Dogs? If they do, will they be able to overcome their inability to convert on 3rd down? They were 0-4 on 3rd down in the first half, is that right? And also, will the Aztecs defense keep the lid on the team from up north until the game's no longer in doubt? There's that TV camera showing David Carr on the sideline in that first half. He led that big OT comeback in 2013 against an outstanding Rocky Long-led defense that I groused about in the last episode of Aztecs All In. Anyway, after the opening kick, Conklin starts off with another completion over the middle that was successful several times in the first half. Works again in the second, and then just a train wreck of penalties on both sides. Dogs whistled for an offensive face masking, a pre-snap flag this time for a delay by number 54 Krisha Clay, Aztec, with action simulating a snap. Long story short, the Aztecs will force a punt. Napier will field on the Aztecs 25, and they will take over. Call the middle 8 a draw inside of 12 minutes to play in the third. Aztecs on their opening drive with a bubble screen to Napier for 6, a give to Sutton for a short gain. See if the Aztecs can get a 3rd down conversion here. It's 3rd and 3, and yep, It was a completion to Nate Acevedo in the middle. The drive continues on the 41. First down, Denegal will fake a toss, tear up the middle. Now I don't like how he's handling that right arm after the tackle at the 41 of the Bulldogs, and Burt Emanuel Jr. now warming up. He's seen limited action thus far, but it's next man up. Denegal still on the ground. They're working on him. That left arm, 9:31 left in the third quarter, injury timeout here. And then Emmanuel starts with a give to Sutton for 4 to the Fresno State 38. And then another give to Sutton right to bring up 3rd and 1. Sutton again up the middle for the first down to the 30. Emmanuel with a fake something or other before heading up the middle himself for 6. Washington in for a carry on first down. And another one for a 1-yard gain. A couple of short ones there. All on the ground since Emmanuel's been in. It's 2nd and 9. Washington will break a tackle on 2nd and gain 4. Another carry for a first down inside the 10. And then, no. It's another call that's too cute by half. It's blown up by Fresno State. It started with a give to Washington, who will pitch to Napier. And in the middle of that, he is hit. It's bobbled. And 29 yards back of the line of scrimmage, it happens. It's recovered by Fresno State. Jason Jack's running the other way. And Napier's great speed is what prevents a touchdown by Fresno State. But the turnover gives life to the Bulldogs when the Aztec play callers could not resist the temptation to get fancy when the power running game was doing the job. Fresno State takes over, 4:57 to play in the quarter at midfield. Whoever is calling those plays, Lewis, I believe, needs to take a seat. Aztecs will force a 3rd and 8. Conklin still in for the Dogs. 3rd and 9 on 3rd down. Make it 3rd and 10 with Conklin unable to complete downfield on a receiver who was well covered. Napier fair catches a punt at the 9. 4 minutes, 2 seconds to play in the quarter. Denegal back in to give the Napier around the end for 8. Sutton up the middle for a first down. And another Aztec down on the ground. It's big Ross Ulugala Masauli on his back. The Aztecs center. The backup, number 57, Saipalo Fuimano. As Big Ross is helped to the sidelines, he is not moving particularly well. They will give to Sutton up the middle. He's to the 3rd level for 16. Denegal, his first pass since the injury departure, complete for 7 to Napier at the Aztec 45. Denegal next play, no time to throw, so he does not. He is rushed out of bounds for no gain. 3rd and 3. Aztecs will call timeout with 1:14 left in the quarter. Camera showing Coach Lou being in fact about something to the Aztec offense. Here's the call. Fake up the middle. Denegal roll right. And then a rugby toss to Jackson Ford for the first down past midfield. So the next play is a pass attempt and a flag for an illegal touch. Anyways, it's 2nd and 15. A give to Lucky Sutton up the middle. A huge hole. Who can catch him? No one. In fact, he catches himself by stepping out of bounds. At the end of the quarter, Aztecs will have the ball. 1st and goal at the 7. Sutton will lose 2 on the next play to start out the 4th quarter. And then a pitch for not much. 3rd and goal from the 10. Denegal gets away with a late throw over the middle against the grain that should have been intercepted. Instead, it brings up another Placencia field goal attempt. Good from 27 yards. Aztecs lead 16-0. 13:22 left to play. Conklin starts the drive again for Fresno State with a give to Rayshawn Luke for 7 to the 30 of Fresno State. He gets the ball again on a short swing pass, gains 2. 3rd and 1, 12:20 to play. All right, out of the gun, Conklin's handoff is blown up. A big play by Owen Shambliss on the give to Jonathan Arsenio. A loss of 5. Defense travels, Lewis. Aztecs take over, 11:24 to play after the punt on their own 35. Denegal back to pass. He dodges some dogs, but not enough to avoid a loss of 1. A short carry by Sutton brings up 3rd and 9 just like that, Lewis. Short sideline route to Napier gains a couple. Aztecs will go 3 and out, 9:41 to play. Aztecs so far surviving the 2 turnovers they committed, but for them the score could be a lot different at this point, Lewis. Back on offense goes Conklin and the Bulldogs on their 13. Quick incompletion, 2nd and 10. Call and pressure by the Aztecs force a late throw by Conklin. It's initially handled by a Bulldog, and then McDougal comes up with it. He's heading the other way. And the refs decide to take a second look at this one and say, no, it's incomplete. The ball hit the ground before it popped up to McDougal. Back to throw, Conklin is 3rd and 10, and this one's a lazy-looking floater, and it's intercepted. No doubt about this one. Tano Letuli with the ball at the Fresno State 31. No Bulldogs in sight as he gets up a full head of steam. He's inside the 5. A few dogs have a shot but cannot get him to the ground, and it's an Aztec touchdown. It's their first since the first quarter in this game, Lewis. This one by the defense. Aztecs lead 23-0, 8:46 to play. All right, Fresno State needs to score fast to get back in it, but instead run themselves a series. They will drive to the Aztec 12 after 9 plays, 3:14 left in the game. It's 3rd and 5, an incomplete pass. On 4th and 5 now, can the defense preserve the shutout? And yes, they can. Another incomplete pass. The Aztecs will take over on downs. 3:04 left in this one. The Aztecs will take over on downs, and they will win this football game, Lewis, and go to 3-0 in the conference play. Okay, just to finish this out, the Aztecs will go 3-out in their possession. Fresno State has inside of 2 minutes to try to break the shutout. That's the only suspense left in this one. Goose egg so far on the scoreboard for the Bulldogs inside their own dog pound, Lewis. They are on the field unable to do much with time running out. There's a defensive highlight. Now King with a 19-yard sack. Fresno State will not score. Aztecs will take over on downs and assume the victory formation. A scoreless third quarter for both teams. Aztecs put up 10 in the 4th, including the big interception for a touchdown by Chambliss. Fresno State held to 3 yards on the ground in the third quarter. For the entire game, they gained 45. Conklin was 20 of 42 for 182 yards. The INTs, 227 total yards. Aztecs will take the big road win, celebrate this one, prep for Wyoming at home next Saturday. Lewis, undefeated in conference play, riding a 5-game winning streak.
Steve, Tano Letuli back on the field. He'd been missing some time over the past few weeks due to some injuries. He said the coach basically, was keeping him out of the game, but he was able to get on today, and he had a great game. 2 total tackles, 2 solo, 1 interception, and 1 pass breakup. And, of course, he had the 31-yard interception return for a touchdown. After the game, he talked with the folks at San Diego Sports 760 about the win and how tough it was for him to sit out during the injury.
Just kind of keeping the mindset that it's all about us. Our opponent doesn't dictate how we prepare for every week. It's always up to us, and our standard doesn't change. So whoever's back there at quarterback, we're going to prepare the same way and come out just like we did. Great, man. I'm good to be out there with my brothers, and definitely unfortunate with that missed time, but everything happens for a reason. I think it was a challenge for me to work on my leadership. Usually I try to rely on my lead by example, but I couldn't do that right there. So I really challenged myself to lead with my words, and that was the only thing I could do at the time. So just took it as a challenge and something for me to get better at.
So on the home side of the football field, the losing side, of course, not so ebullient. Fox Sports AM 1540 carries sound with Bulldogs coach Matt Entz, who has no choice but to try to stay positive throughout this and go easy on his quarterback, who was making his first FBS start. And they now have Boise State in view on that blue turf next week. They will go against a team that has a 4-0 conference record. He has no choice but to try to stay positive.
We got to find a plan that we can execute at a high level. I thought defensively we played pretty well. I mean, we gave up. They had a couple opportunities where we forced them to field goals. We were still down 2 scores. Going into the fourth quarter, and we're going to be better. That's it. I'm going to stay positive because if I get negative, they get negative, and so I got to stay positive. We got to help each other. I think there was opportunities for him out here during the day. Again, we go back and look at it. We're probably going to say, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but. At the same time, we got to continue to grow. We got to continue to build as a football team. The Valley deserves it. Our Red Wave deserves it. And we knew it wasn't going to happen just like with a snap of our fingers. But we got to stay consistent, and we got to be here for the long game. I think that's one of the things that's been positive is our guys have embraced how we prepare. And so we just got to get back to work. We got to lean on who we are and what we do and the things that we've done well up to this point. And we got to continue to learn from our errors. Either you're winning or learning. And sometimes that's not a fun concept when you're 18 to 22 years old.
Steve, I was surprised when the game started to see that Conklin was starting at quarterback and not E.J. Warner, the the son of NFL Hall of Famer, of course, Kurt Warner. And E.J. Warner is currently the passing leader in NCAA, over 10,000 yards passing. But I guess he had a bunch of turnovers this year, interceptions and fumbles. And during the bye week, they decided to go with the younger guy, Conklin.
I'm not terribly surprised by that. It was pretty much a little shot of gamesmanship, talking about EJ and all of the pregame stuff, and apparently not announced until the opening kick that he would not be starting. Either way, I don't think it would have made any difference who was starting with the Aztecs defense playing the way it was. Did we mention that August Salvati had the other of the two Aztec interceptions in this one? Either way, the defense played extremely well, just from the opening kick in the opening possessions all the way through the end. It was one of those games where they held the opposing team scoreless, and that makes the football game fairly simple if you can do that on that side of the football, right, Lewis? Heck, you could just have your field goal kicker up there and kicking one, and you're done. But instead, the Aztecs offense got off the ground and started rolling too.
Yeah, don't forget Gabe Placencia, 25 straight field goals now. The Aztecs, coming into this game, top 10 in yards allowed, and of course, it appears they'll stay there. They also got some votes, Steve, for the top 25. Perhaps they'll get a few more when that's announced tomorrow, but we shall see. And the last time the Aztecs shut out Fresno State in Fresno was in 1975, October of 75. So it's been a long time and something that does not happen very often there.
One more thing just on the wish list for the offense is, and that's great that Gabe Placencia's made all of those field goals, but that Lucky Sutton touchdown was the only touchdown by the offense in the entire game. And if they could take a couple of those field goals that they're making and settling for and convert them into touchdowns, of course there were some imaginative calls, let's call them, that sort of had something to do with the lack of touchdown capacity by the Aztecs offense. But that would be just the one thing on the wish list that would have made this game something that probably would have been even less in doubt than it was apparent by the way the Aztecs defense was playing.
Yeah, well, don't forget Byron Cardwell Jr. out at the 1. He almost scored, and then Lucky Sutton somehow, I'm not sure why, but sort of lost balance, stepped out at the 6. So really, you could have possibly had 2 more touchdowns, but I see what you're saying. You're absolutely right. They have to convert the touchdowns and not just field goals.
Right. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't. That's the name of that tune. And the name of this tune is probably time to say goodbye, is it? Unless you have
Yeah,
more
let's do it.
witty bon must. Okay, that'll wrap up
Nothing.
this postgame edition of Aztecs All In, with the Aztecs now sitting 3-0 in conference play, bowl eligible with a 6-1 record. Don't forget to follow us on the X, Aztecs_all_in. You can tell how much time I spend on that thing. And also, you can drop us a line at Gmail, aztecsallin@gmail.com. So, for Louis Weiner, this is Steve Perez saying thanks for checking us out. We'll talk to you again soon.